All right, just turn it around, see if you get me.
There you go.
We're okay?
You're okay.
All right, everybody, come on in, have a seat. How you all doing tonight? I mean, today? See, I'm in the same boat. My name's John McKernan. When I first talked to Courtney about doing a comedy show for you all, I was a lot different. This is what I call my injury comedy tour.
Oh, my.
Yeah, on the 20th of February, actually, at my part-time job, I fell down the steps, broke my fingers here. Then, got tendonitis in my feet, so I can't walk the same. Well, a week later, I'm also on the liver transplant list down at MUSC. So they found a cancerous tumor in my liver. So they had to go in through this artery and remove the tumor. I just was there yesterday. They got all the tumor out, so I'm thankful for that. Okay. But at one point, I had one hand with a cast on, the other hand with a cast on. Sucks to get old. I'll tell you what, I couldn't pick my nose, and I couldn't make love to my wife.
She made love to you then?
She had to take over because I couldn't do a thing, you know. We're gonna have some fun today. I'm gonna tell a lot of jokes, I guess, about getting old too, and some other stuff. Most of my jokes come from my personal experiences, so I always reference that and everything. So I have 5 children. I made them from scratch. You guys do the same thing? Yeah? Okay, so you can understand. All right. Every time I'm working gigs at the assisted livings or the retirement communities, I always ask this question of people. So let me get a gauge for the room. First of all, how many people here are over 70? We have some? Okay. How many people are over 75? Still have some? How about over 80? Wow. 85? All right, how old are you, ma'am?
93.
What?
93.
93, great.
88.
88?
92.
92. Oh, excellent. Well, the reason why I asked that question, a month ago, my wife, after I finished one of my gigs like this, she calls me and says, John, why don't you pick up some dinner? I said, what do you want, honey? She says, well, I'm not very hungry. Why don't you go to Piggly Wiggly and get some fried chicken and some mac and cheese? So I went to the store, and at our age, you always ask the same question, do you have a senior discount, right? Because it does add up. And he says, yes, sir. Now let me ask you guys a question. What do you think the age is you have to be to get the senior discount at the Piggly Wiggly? Anybody want to guess?
55.
65.
85.
62.
90.
What?
62.
Nope.
55.
Nope.
100.
He told me 95, sir.
Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
You pulling your leg.
I said,
Where were you shopping?
yeah, I said, wait, are you kidding me? No, sir, it's actually 95. And in fact, my wife went in the next week and he said the same thing to her. I said, so you're pulling my leg? He says, no, but you want some chicken legs? I said, no, it's 95. He says, yes. I said, that's not a senior discount, that's a geriatric discount.
That's right.
That's true.
How many people, they won't even insure you at 95. Well, my father-in-law just turned 92, so I called him up on the phone. I said, hey, Pops, you're 92. Is there anything still on your bucket list? Yeah, I want to turn 95 and get the Piggly Wiggly senior discount. I guess if you're not 95, it's probably the only senior discount I can think of where you get carded. I think this will be a new market for fake IDs, right? What if somebody catches you and you're 90 years old and you're using the fake ID to get the discount? Are they going to call the police on you? So anyway, I did get the chicken. I think the chicken was over 95 years old. I mean, it was hard as a rock, unlike my father-in-law, but my mother told me that one. Anyway, so let me get a feel for what kind of jokes you guys like. Do you like just straight, clean jokes?
Any kind of joke.
Mixed jokes, as long as they're funny, right? Dirty jokes, you know?
Wrong.
What?
Wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I can do any kind of jokes. I've been doing this for 40 years. I started a comedy club back in college. And so, you know, had a comedy radio show. I did stand-up. So, like I said, I'd like to take things from my own life experience. So, I just had a grandson. Thank you. And he just turned 1 year old. And he came out to visit us. Now, George, he is, I don't know what to say about him. I think he's going to be a stand-up comic like his granddad. Because he controls the whole room when he comes in. He waves to everybody. In fact, you know, I was telling people another assisted living, you know, he just, you know, if he was here, he'd be waving at you, you'd be coming up, he'd be babbling to you, he'd be talking and everything. That's just the kind of guy he was. And his parents told me on his way to see us here, because they live in Alaska, they had to travel a long way. In the airport in Dallas, they ran into the Alabama girls softball team. And he started waving to them, and they all came up. In fact, these two girls came up to him 5 times. I told George, you're getting more bases than I am. So anyway, the airline stewardess, they gave George their phone numbers. He got here, and so we took him out to the restaurant, and he always likes to have his high chair facing the doors you come in, so he can wave to people as they come in. They come over and talk to him, you know. In fact, all the women thought he was so cute, they wanted to know if he changed his diapers. Sorry, maybe I shouldn't bring up diapers in assisted living. All right, but anyway, for his birthday, there's this new craze going around. Have you all heard of it, called a smash cake? Anybody know what a smash cake is?
Yeah.
No? Okay, I'll explain it to you. Well, when a newborn turns 1 year old, they go to the store, they buy him a little cake, and they put it in front of him and let him do whatever he wants. Whether he wants to throw his face in it, food in it, and George, you know, went at it. You know, he put his face in it, he stuffed his mouth with it, and we were at this very popular restaurant here in Charleston, and everybody was coming up to him and watching this. You know, in fact, the women in the restaurant put dollar bills in his diaper. He did so well that the owner of the restaurant wants him back for a repeat performance this Saturday. Now, if I could just talk to his parents and convince him to stay up, you know, that late, well, I think they'll do it because he's paying for their trip. You know, like I said, I've done stand-up for over 40 years. I've sold billion-dollar companies. I've, had 10 cars, 3 homes, raised 5 children. But damn if I could get George to sit still and snap together his high chair. You guys ever try to do that? I mean, this is like you need a college degree to do this. I couldn't do it, so I just put him on the floor and gave him a bottle, and he was happy. So, anyway. So my wife and I just went to Florida for a little trip for vacation. And when we went down there, you know, they give out free orange juice as you come in.
Yeah.
And my wife says, "Can you make that a mimosa?"
Right?
Okay.
They
You know,
just laughed at her.
What?
They just laughed at her.
Yeah. No, they, you know, I told her that's not the kind of juice they're going to give you, honey. So anyway, so when I first met my wife, she was working at Toyota, and she'd come home and she tells me, "You asked for it, you got it." Okay? Her next job was Burger King, and she says, "Have it your way."
Oh, wow.
Then she worked at Little Caesars, and she came in with a uniform that said hot and ready. Well, now she's at Wendy's, and she comes home and she asks me, "Where's the beef?" So I take her to Arby's.
Oh, boy.
So you all kind of grew up in the 60s and 70s, kind of like I did a little bit. You maybe a little bit beforehand, right? Okay. But I guess you all remember the hippie generation and all that? And all that.
Yes.
You will not believe this, but 2 weeks ago, this got delivered in my mailbox. It's by a company called Mood. It says 100% legal THC. Does everybody know what THC is? It's marijuana, okay? So they're selling marijuana through the mail to you. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I was in high school, the school I went to, and a lot of the public schools, force you to watch that movie Reefer Madness, you know? And in fact, they remade Reefer Madness in 2005 into a musical. They had the hit song, I'm so high, I think I can fly. Well, not only is the government not teaching Reefer Madness and making you show it to you, but they're delivering this right to your front door now. So I started looking at this thing, and I started to notice things in it. I couldn't believe it. They have edible gummy bears, because you never know when the grandkids are going to come over. They have disposable vapors. All right, you can't fool me. That's a bomb. Roll-up cigarettes joints and brownies. They say go to their website and order, and when you go there, you got to contact Mary Jane. And you guys understand that joke? Okay. And it's called HelloMood.com, and this is their actual slogan: turn an ordinary day into an extraordinary day. I just can't believe I got that in the mail. I mean, I don't know if you guys will get some too.
Rubbish in the mail.
Oh, wow. Well, like I said, I kind of go through my life and the things that have happened to me and the jokes. I like to tell jokes from my life experiences that I've experienced. And I also do mixed jokes a lot and throw one-liners in just to keep you off guard, okay? You know you're getting old when you're binge watching QVC.
When you're binge watching what?
QVC.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't watch QVC? Oh, my wife loves it. But anyway, like I said, this is called The Godfather Revisited. When I was in high school, my second girlfriend lived in an ethnic community. We had them all over town called Little Italy. One side of the street, they had the Pasta family. On the other side of the street, their arch enemy, the Antipastas.
Oh, boy.
Well, Maria was from that neighborhood, Maria Jacoboni. And she had two brothers named Tony Jacoboni. They all drove big black Cadillacs. They owned the Oni cement factory in Baltimore. I went over to their house. They were always watching Godfather or Goodfellas. The only music they had on was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
I think they were related to Tony Soprano. I was scared to death to break up with this girl. Thank God she broke up with me. Then 20 years later, she moved next door to my sister. And so my sister calls me, she says, John, come on over. Maria's here, we're 4 kids. So we went over. She pulls me aside, she says, John, I think we made a mistake. We should have got married. I said, Maria, it wouldn't have worked. You're Catholic and I want to live. She said, is there anything else I can do for you? I said, yeah, drop the gun, give me the clothes.
Give you a what?
All right. Now, when I was finishing up college, they were building the National Aquarium in Baltimore. And they were about to open it, but they realized they forgot the budget $1 million. You know what they forgot the budget $1 million for? The fish! I thought this was great. This could be the first aquarium without fish.
It was an aquarium.
People be lined up for miles to see nothing. When they came in, the tour guide would, ask them, pretend there's a great white shark in there while throwing the fake tuna. But while all the politicians were debating how to raise the $1 million, they said they got to make some money, so they opened it up as a water park. So they had all the kids come in. They finally got the fish. Then they realized that they had to clean the tanks because of the kids. And they spent another $1 million. Okay? When I was in college, I got a paper cut. You ever get a paper cut? Oh, that can be sore, right? So I went to the nurse's office on campus, and she says, "Young man, do you know a paper cut could be one of the worst cuts you can get?" Well, I thought about it. I said, "Ma'am, I hate to disagree, but I think an axe cut could actually be a little worse. I could be wrong here, but I think medically speaking, an axe cut could do more damage." So I thought about her as I got patched up and was going across campus. These guys jump out of the bushes with knives and guns and say, "Give us your money." Well, me thinking quickly, I reached into my pocket, pulled out my campus paper ID and said, "Guys, better put that down." "Oh, sir, please, you're going to hurt somebody with that. Please put that ID down, drop it before somebody gets hurt." And they dropped their guns and knives and ran.
Wait a minute.
Okay. So, give me a second here. I've been married 4 times to the same woman. I just keep marrying her and marrying her and marrying her again. I'm a perfectionist.
Oh, boy.
As I told you, we have 5 children, and so I call this Friday night date night. And when we were growing up, if you guys are married, did you ever have like a date night? You guys ever do date nights? No?
No, I've done it.
Yeah, we did them all the time because we had to survive. And so it got to the point when the kids were teenagers, they were literally pushing us out the door to go on date night. When we come home and the house was wrecked, they had more fun on date night than we did. The last straw is we were out one time and the police call me and they say, "Mr. McKernan," "Yeah." He says, "There's a block party at your house." I said, "What? Where's my neighbors?" "They're at it." Well, we came home, and that was going to spoil date night. So what we ended up doing is we changed the locks, we put in an alarm system, and then we shipped the kids out all weekend long to friends' houses. So date night now turned into date weekend. Hallelujah. Free at last, free at last. Then we bought a dog, and it started all over again. Have you all heard of this restaurant over in Sullivan's Island called the Obstinate Daughter? No? Okay. Well, we have an obstinate dog in Goose Creek. I mean, this dog is terrible. If it's raining 1 drop outside, she refuses to go outside to go potty. She'll do it in the house. At night, she'll pick up her toys and deliberately put them in the middle of the floor so you can trip over them. She gets up on our bed, she kicks off all the pillows so we can't sleep, but she can. My wife got so upset, she took her to obedience school. Within a half hour, they called and said, "You got to come get your dog. She's incorrigible." She barks at all the neighborhood dogs. When strangers come in the house, though, she licks them to death. So any of you guys have a dog like this? No? You want one? Okay. In our backyard, my neighbors keep on feeding these damn geese. And these geese have multiplied over the years. Forget the dog shit. I mean, there is goose shit everywhere. Every time I try to take out the trash, it's like a landmine. And it's very unhealthy. Goose shit. It gets stuck in your shoes, you can't get it off. So I looked up the word goose. It's Old English for crap. And that's what they do. All the time, everywhere. And they don't even pay HOA fees. But they are good for holiday dinners. But this year, a duck came to the neighborhood. And my wife started feeding, we call it Howard the Duck. I said, "Why are you feeding that damn duck?" She says, "Oh, he looks so lonely. None of the other geese will play with him or anything." I said, "He's not a reindeer. Would you stop feeding him? I mean, this thing can eat unbelievable. And shit's worse than the geese." So at Christmas time, I took care of the problem. We had duck for dinner. My wife stuffed the bird and all, and she asked me the other day, where's Howard? I haven't seen Howard in a while. Well, it got cold there for a while. He probably flew south. Says, you think we'll ever see him again? Nah, no. So like I told you, I have 5 children, and I'm going to tell you some stories about them. And I'm not changing any of their names because none of them are innocent. One of my 3 daughters is named Jennifer. She's an accountant. There's nothing funny there, okay? I didn't have anything funny for a while until 6 months ago. Jennifer is smart, she learns quick, but she knows nothing about sports. So I come home one afternoon, she says, Dad, can you please take me to the South Carolina-Georgia football game this week? I said, Jennifer, I don't think it's a good idea. You don't know anything about sports. Yeah, but all my friends will be there. So against my better judgment, I took her to the sports bar. When I get there, I say, Jennifer, do me a favor. Do not say anything. Drink your beers. Just do not say anything. Okay, Dad. You think she listened to me? Nah. In the second quarter, she turns to me and everybody in the bar. She says, Dad, when is South Carolina going to hit another home run? I said, never. Does that mean the ball players are never going to make the major leagues? Everybody in the bar stops and starts staring at me. I said, I don't know this girl. She followed me in from the parking lot. In the fourth quarter, South Carolina threw an interception, and she said, what's that? I said, well, Georgia just picked off the ball. Oh, does that mean the South Carolina player is out? I left the bar. But that Sunday morning at church, everybody in the church kept on coming up to her and asking her football questions. And I would just hid my head. But she got them all right. I told you she's a quick learner. But Sunday afternoon after that, she came home and she asked me, Mom and Dad, when are the Pittsburgh Eagles going to play? You got that, did you? Okay.
Delivered to you.
My oldest daughter is called Heather. And when she graduated high school, she wanted to go to college in the South. She was looking at all kinds of colleges, and she wanted to go to one trip down to a university called Elon University. Anybody ever heard of Elon?
Mhm.
So we packed up the car, put her mom and her and me, and went down. As soon as we got on the campus, there was this big, long white table with a teenager behind it, of all these Krispy Kreme donuts saying, won't you buy my donuts? I call this bit, won't you buy my donuts, okay? So we ignored him. We went on the first campus tour. We come out there, he's right in front of us. Won't you buy my donuts? I said, no, leave Deliverance Boy alone. Let's go to dinner. So we went to the cafeteria. We got something to eat. We come out. There he is. Won't you buy my donuts? I said, get in the car. We got to go to the hotel. So I got him in the car. We went to the hotel. Outside our hotel window all night long. Won't you buy my donuts? Won't you buy my donuts? We're beyond Deliverance now. We're into The Shining. So the next day on campus, he cornered us again and said, won't you buy my donuts? And we made the mistake of buying his donuts. So the campus guy says, he must like you a lot. He's following you everywhere. He says, just don't buy his donuts. I said, why shouldn't I buy his donuts? He says, well, he's homeless and he'll never leave you alone. I said, guys, we got to get out of here. So I said, pack everything in the car, let's go. We packed everything in the car. He stood right in front of the car before he left and shouting at us, won't you buy my donuts? Won't you buy my donuts? So I ran his ass over. My daughter actually went to her freshman year at Elon. She gained all this weight, so I guess she bought his donuts. And she tells me she gets a newsletter every year. Well, she just got a newsletter 20 years later saying that he died on the operating table at the university hospital there, and his famous last words were, won't you buy my donuts? All right, this one is about one of my sons. It's very hard for me to tell a lot of jokes about my sons, especially in assisted living, because they're sons and they do dirty things, so. But I try to clean this up for you a little bit, but I think you'll get the gist of it. So Justin, our youngest son, he was very handsome. Everybody liked him. The girls liked him, the boys liked him, the parents loved him. But at age 16, I noticed he was starting to get invited over to his friend's house who all had single divorced moms. Think you can see where this is going. They would call the house and say, "Is Justin there? I want to have him over. He's such a good influence on my child." Well, the last straw is I pick up Justin, and one of these moms opens the door in a see-through nightgown. I said, "Justin, get in the car." "What, Dad?" I said, "Are you having sex with these moms?" "But Dad, you don't understand. They love me." I said, "Justin, what if you get them pregnant?" "Well, don't worry. They have protection." I said, "It doesn't always work. How do you think you got here?" "Well, it's my life." I said, "Yeah." So at age 18, he moved out with one of these moms. Now he lives up in Philly, and he sends us, Mom and me, every week the latest picture of the latest cougar he's going out with. It's gotten so bad that his mom blocks his phone. Every time I call him, I get his ringtone, Mrs. Robertson, you know. So I said to Justin, "When are you going to grow up and get married?" He blocked my phone. Yeah. It's fun having children, isn't it? I guess the last story I'll tell you about one of my children is my youngest daughter. Her name is Lulu. That's a nickname, but it is appropriate. She is a Lulu, okay? In the hospital for delivery, she wasn't coming out. They tried PIT, they tried everything. They couldn't get her to come out. So the nurse finally said to my wife, "Well, why don't we break out the champagne bottle anyway and, you know, have some drinks?" She came out then. She got delivered. She's a party girl. So, and both at the same time, the nurse and my wife said, "That's a Lulu." And name has stuck with her ever since, and she's always been a Lulu. I mean, this is really high maintenance little girl. And she has no inhibitions, kind of like her dad. Anyway, and her brothers and sisters didn't encourage her either. At our third home, they encouraged her to go up on the roof, gave her an umbrella, and convinced her she was Mary Poppins and told her to jump. And she jumped. She didn't break anything, but she broke the umbrella. Maybe she is Mary Poppins, I don't know. We moved to another neighborhood when she was 6. She left the house and went around, talked to all the neighbors, told them she was an orphan. She even got one neighbor to teach her piano lessons, and we don't even own a piano. Then we take her to a restaurant, and she always liked the maitre d' or the hostess to say, "Table for Miss Lulu." And we take her to the table. We went on vacation one time to SeaWorld, and she got lost there too. We found her in the tank playing with the dolphins. I mean, she was so good that they offered her a job. But they weren't paying her enough, so she didn't get it. But now she's in her 30s, she has her own kids, and every time she still goes to the restaurant, the waitress always says, "Table for Miss Lulu." Tell you little stories about myself. Like I was talking to you about Lulu, I kind of didn't have any inhibitions as a child either. And there's this one story when I was about 8 years old. The kids in the neighborhood knew that if they told me to do something, I would more likely do it. So the first day of elementary school, they said, "John, why don't you go up and pull the fire alarms and we'll get out of school for the day?" Well, I thought that was a pretty good idea, so I pulled the fire alarms. Sure enough, the fire department came, and they sent us home. Well, about every 2 weeks, they would come up to me, "Why don't you pull the fire alarms?" Especially if we had a test. So I pulled the fire alarms. Well, after a couple months, the fire department figured this out, and they suspended me from school and sent me home where I wanted to be in the first place. But at home, the kids came over to my house then, and they said, "You know, on the street corners we have fire alarms. John, why don't you go pull those fire alarms?" Well, there I go. I pulled the fire alarm. Fire department comes, no fire, no anything. Finally, the police chief figured it out. He put me under house arrest. And our neighbors got really mad. They come over to me. John, you can't do this. You just can't indiscriminately go around pulling fire alarms, doing all this stuff. I didn't like them, so I set their backyard on fire. I did pull the fire alarm, though, but the fire department didn't show because they thought it was a false alarm. Burned their backyard to the ground. My parents ended up selling the house and moving to the country. I never kind of understood why. But there was a whole bunch of characters in my family, too. I don't know if you guys ever had somebody like this in your family, but Uncle Dick and Aunt Frances, and they lived in Nags Head. Uncle Dick is a bigger life figure. He was all 5'5" and 400 pounds, okay? He loved to eat. And he sounded like Leghorn Foghorn. He had this deep southern voice. Boss, come here. I want to talk to you, boss. So, him and Aunt Frances went trips all over the world. They went to Belgium one time, and they got all these chocolates and all these goodies. Then they decided they were going to come visit my parents' place up on the farm. But before they went there, they went to their favorite Jewish deli. They bought all these Jewish deli meats and breads, and then came up, and he put them all in this really big trunk and had a lock on it. He got there, boss, come here. Yes, Uncle Dick? Take this up to my room. Well, we struggled, we got it up to his room. He then opened it, made a mistake, he opened it in front of us, and we saw all the goodies, all the chocolates and everything else. Boys, you can have one chocolate, and I'm going to make you a corned beef sandwich. So he made us a corned beef sandwich. He locked it back up, went out to dinner with my parents. Now, what Uncle Dick didn't know about is my brother Bart was an expert at picking locks. So Bart goes up to his room, picks the lock, opens it up. Between Bart, my sister, and me, we ate everything. It was all gone. We finished it off. So Uncle Dick comes back from dinner, and he goes to go up to his room to have one of his chocolates, and he has a gasket. Jack! That's my father. Jack! Look what these little heathens did! My parents come up and they see what happened, all the wrappers, and they start laughing. Aunt Frances comes up, she starts laughing. But he got his sweet revenge, because in 2 weeks we were going on vacation to Nags Head. So when we get down there, he calls my father and says, Jack, when you get the boys ready, I'm going to make a breakfast. So my father brought me over to their house, and they had a huge table. And he said, boys, I'm going to make you breakfast, and you've got to eat everything, because this is punishment for you taking all my food. And literally, it was like the kitchen sink. I mean, there was sausage, there was bacon, there was ham, there was steak, there were pancakes, there were waffles, there were muffins, there were hash browns, and even chocolates. And he said to me, John, how many eggs you want? I said, well, I'm not going to be that hungry. I'll eat 5, though. So he made me a dozen scrambled eggs. Well, about an hour goes by, and as you can imagine, it's not going too well for my brother and me. We're starting to get sick to our stomach. And we said, Uncle Dick, especially my brother, he said, Uncle Dick, I got to leave. What do you want to leave for, boys? I'm getting sick. Well, good. You got to stay here and finish it. But Uncle Dick, you don't understand. This is punishment for you eating all my food. But Uncle Dick, I'm going to get sick. Eat, boy! With that, he threw up all over Uncle Dick. That's the last time we saw Uncle Dick. At Christmas time, my pastor said to us, I want you to invite everybody from our church who's in the ESOL program. English is a second language. Invite them over for dinner and everything. And I looked at the bulletin and I pointed out to my wife that they misspelled fellowship and they misspelled Christmas. He says, what do you think of that? Well, it is English as a second language. She laughed so hard we got kicked out of the church. I'll tell you what, I was growing up in college, and I was, like I said, age 19, started the comedy club and everything. My favorite comedian back then was Rodney Dangerfield. Anybody ever heard of Rodney Dangerfield? You seen him? Like him? Yeah, I loved him. I must have saw him a dozen times. In fact, he showed up one time at a comedy club I was doing a gig at. Got to meet him, invited me to go up to his club in New York, Dangerfield's. And he was just like you saw in the movies and on stage. He was wild. He was crazy. And of course, later in life, I became born again. And I just wish I got a chance to talk to him and get Rodney to become a born again Christian before he passed away. So I call this Born Again Rodney. I hope you guys like this tribute to Rodney. It's tough being me. In the delivery room, my parents committed suicide, along with the doctor and the nurses. I'll tell you, when I went to the orphanage, they tried to put me up for adoption all the time, especially my foster parents. Why, my wife told me, you know, I married you as a rescue pet. And my kids didn't love me either. Every time I went out on tour, they'd move out of the house. The dog wouldn't even lick me. But the only one who loved me was Jesus. So I went home and I told my wife, hey, I'm born again. She went out screaming, oh, not again. Oh, I tell you. I said, God, I'm new to this Christian thing. I don't know what it means. He says, don't worry, I'll take you under my rib. He handed me off to Jesus. I'll tell you, Jesus, he was quite a good guy. I said, God, you know, I get no respect on earth. He says, I don't either. He says, what do you mean? I said, well, I get kicked out of the grocery store express line for having a dozen eggs. He says, well, how do you think? I sent my only son. I said, well, what happened to him? They nailed him to a cross. But why do you love them still? He says, because they're made in my image, except you. You were in the lost and found. As you know, it took God 6 days to make man. And then he had a wife. And it all went downhill from there. He told Adam and Eve, be fruitful and multiply. So they planted apple trees. I said to God, I said, you know, what is this about Adam and Eve? Here's Adam naked. Here's the Eve naked. What's with the serpent? He didn't think it was too funny. I said, the apple doesn't fall too far from the trees. I got kicked out of heaven for that one. I tell you, and their sons, Cain and Abel, I'll tell you, Cain was not Abel's brother's keeper. In fact, Cain was a stand-up comic too. He killed it. So I found Jesus walking on water. And I said to him, why are you walking on water? He says, well, sit down and I'll turn it into wine. So we turned it into wine. It was great because I didn't know bar tab. I said to him, how come every time we drink water around here, it tastes like wine? He says, shut up and drink your wine. I said, that's another thing. How come we only eat fish, bread, and wine? So he made me some manna. I said, what's this? Manna. It's from heaven. My God made it. I was speechless. I'll tell you one thing, though. He liked to play poker. Don't play poker with Jesus. He kept on raising Lazarus until he beat him. You know, Jonah's wife, she was big. How big was she? Well, when she jogged the neighborhood, they had to put up detour signs. Everywhere. She got so big, she became a whale. Started working at the National Aquarium. Jonah couldn't handle it, so she swallowed him whole. And Jeremiah was a bullfrog, a good friend of mine. But he kept on saying to all the boys and girls of Israel, God's going to destroy the earth. So they tried to destroy him. And I'll tell you, King Solomon, 2,000 wives. No wonder he went insane, right? And his dad, King David, he was no genius woman either. He hit this eye candy called Jezebel, who I think died by a dog or was a dog or something like that. Anyway, he had a Napoleon complex. Just ask Goliath. I'll tell you, it's tough being me. I get no respect. You know, I go and buy honey here at the store and it says kosher on it. How do they know that? Do they check the bees to see if they're circumcised? I got no respect. When I went home as a child, my parents ran away from home. And the neighborhood I lived in, it was very tough. All the lights were shot out, and it was poor too. How poor? When I went to the grocery store, they had IOUs in the penny jar. So that's my take on Rodney Dangerfield. I hope you like that. Never thought you'd learn about the Bible from Rodney, huh? Okay. So we're going to be wrapping up here soon. You guys having a good time? Excellent. Good. So this Valentine's Day, I asked my wife, what do you want for Valentine's Day? She says, flowers. She says, what do you want? I said, I want chocolates. Well, before Valentine's Day, I went to the grocery store and they had chocolates on sale, so I bought the chocolates. But she ate all my chocolates. So I got flowers for Valentine's Day. The last story I'm going to tell you is, well, I'll tell you one more. My wife says I mumble a lot. I said, okay. She says, why do you mumble so much? I said, because I don't want you to get mad at me. She says, well, now you got me really pissed off. See, I told you you'd get mad at me. So I'm going back to mumbling. Anyway, my Nana, my grandmother, she loved me the most. She believed in me. She had a great sense of humor like me. She always encouraged me to become a comic and listen to my jokes, even when they weren't funny. And but she had one thing in her life that really ticked her off. She was a leap year baby. Anybody know any leap year babies? Yeah.
29.
What?
29.
29, yep. Leap year babies hate that. So she came up with a way to combat that. On February 28th, on the off years, and March 1st, she would celebrate her birthday twice. So she had twice. And then on leap years, she celebrated normal. But my grandmother was a child prodigy because at age 1, she could read, write, and ride a bike. At age 2, she went to elementary school and could do math problems. At age 3, she was in middle school and got her first period. Age 4, she went to high school and graduated. She graduated college before she was age 6. And then at age 7, she married a much older man, my grandfather. At age 8, she had her first child, my father. And then age 13, her first grandchild, me. In fact, I turned 18 before she did. But, you know, like I said, she always made me feel good, and my wife loved her. So now we celebrate her birthday every year on the off years on February 28th and March 1st. We go out to dinner, and I get lucky twice, 2 days in a row. But this year, as you know, was February 29th, leap year. So we went out to dinner once, and I got lucky once. But I want to thank Nana for, you know, instilling all the humor in me and letting me see the funny things that happen to us in life. And I appreciate you guys having me out here, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Who called you?
Hmm?
Who called you?
Check it out.
Well, thank you for being here. Yeah, I'm glad you guys enjoy it. Got to tell more people if I get here back again to come. We'll have more fun then. Yes, ma'am.
Andrew Saskia.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I
What
love
year
that
is?
song.
What year?
God bless America.
There's not so
And you're
much
93, 92, 93.
I'll be 93 in September.
Maybe they left your
Okay,
voicemail.
September, excellent. That's
Maybe they
good.
left
My
your
wife's
voicemail.
birthday's September too.
Good.
How you guys doing? What are your ages? What are your ages?
81.
What?
81 and 88.
Oh, great. And there was somebody here again in their 90s, no?
Nothing.
Yeah. How old are you?
Betty, he's talking to you.
92.
92. So you all have still a few years before you can get the Piggly Wiggly discount.
Something to look forward to. Thank you.
Yes.
It was nice hearing you.